This is how everything starts. We're some degree of liveness / recordingness. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Hello.
Welcome to 001 Radio.
Yeah, welcome to 001 Radio Weekly. This is weekly. Technically there are other 001 Radio shows, namely the Toradora one that is on hiatus. Possibly forever.
Yeah. Indefinite hiatus.
Indefinite hiatus. Maybe we'll do an update on it at some point.
No,
We'll see.
we might do another show instead.
Or we may just do like a retrospective on the entire show at once instead of going episode by episode.
Right.
Because that would have taken a year regardless.
Right.
So, all right.
Anyway.
We're here. This is 001 Radio Weekly. Welcome to the show.
Is there
We're
a reason we're not doing faces today?
yeah, because I need to do laundry.
God damn it. I just got this big light, so I have like a fake ring light now.
No, the actual reason is I want to figure
you're
out a
just
better
gonna
way
have
than
to
just
wait.
using Discord
Yeah.
overlay to do it
Well, my
because it
stream's
looks like
gonna look
ass.
really good now, so whatever.
And I want to have images for the other two people without the crap of just there. So yeah, we're live. We do a game. We do a news game. Last time it took us 10 minutes to get to the news game. This time we're gonna do it only a minute and a half in. Look, we are on time today.
That's
Let's
im-
just
that's
get right the
improvement.
heck into it.
Let's just
that's
get right the heck
improvement.
into the news. Okay?
Yeah,
We have news.
right into that.
This time we've been doing some North and South Korean news. Wild update for you. Amid the COVID-19 crisis, there is not much in the way of North Korean news this week. So we're going back.
So my answer is South Korea.
Okay. Your answer is correct. We're going
Oh,
back
thanks.
to the original game of what is it news? Is it true? Does it news? Okay.
What is
Does Bruno Mars is gay?
What?
what's the question?
Okay,
Hit us with
what's
it.
it's news. There's not a question. Stand a reasonable distance from your microphone, Ben, by the way. You're going wild in the meters.
Am I too low or too high?
Now you're perfect.
Okay.
You were just
Now
like
it's in my
you were
mouth.
like oddly low a minute ago.
Right, because I was leaning back in my chair. Give me a break.
Okay. Jeez. All right. So our first news story. Hard-hitting facts.
Okay.
Anti-porn filters stop Dominic Cummings trending on Twitter. I don't know who Dominic Cummings
Oh
is.
no, I'm immature.
I don't even know where to start with this one.
No, that's real.
At the same time, I feel like I thought you could post porn on Twitter. I've seen
Yeah,
people
but
do
you
it before,
can't-
but you can't
Yeah,
trend it.
Well, there's like a safe mode. There's like, you know.
You
on
know what I
Twitter, like, you
say?
gotta
I say let people be horny.
bonk.
And if
Go to
Dominic
Horny.
Cummings
Go
wants to
to
trend
Horny.
on Twitter, let him trend on Twitter.
No. Go to horny jail. Anyway, it's real. I know it's real.
Okay. So I just
My
read a
final
really
answer.
funny. I just read a really funny one that is I know is false, and I know you would instantly recognize it as false. So I'm not gonna read it, but it was really funny.
Just do it. I want to laugh.
I'll read it. Okay, this
Have
is
a good day.
I just looked down and saw this major relief. Blizzard has announced that Overwatch players will be able to carry over their unlocked skins and emotes into the afterlife.
Oh, okay.
It's
What?
fake news. It's funny because I
do you
used to
mean?
play Overwatch a lot, so it was like cool.
in the days before the roll.
It's a game. It's a gamer joke. You wouldn't know.
All right, so our next news article, cop explains how it feels to live every day in fear of someone might record you brutalizing a civilian.
Oh boy.
That's
Oh
not.
my
That's
oh
fake.
boy.
Unless if that's real, that's great, but it's fake.
Oh boy.
That has to be an onion.
Or
That
like the shovel or something.
the timing on that one.
Yeah, it's definitely an Onion article.
Yeah, it's an Onion article. I just felt like we had to include that one this week.
Oh boy.
Topical.
Always like to
Topical. Well done.
stay.
We got our weekly politics in. Boom.
Ryan,
Move on.
you're so trendy.
I'm so trending weekly politics. That's all we're gonna do about weekly politics. I don't think any of us are relatively politically informed, so
No.
Who wants
We're
to
gonna
hear
move
us
on.
talk? about it
Everything I
anyway?
say would be just insulting beyond
Yeah.
Well, I think we
Oh,
can all
right.
agree the American
Just
government's
because
in
of
a
how
real
wrong it
spot
was.
right now.
Yeah, they're
And
just
that's about
having
as far
a
as I'm willing
not
to
such
take
a
it.
great time.
We're not gonna say good. We're not gonna say bad. We're gonna say a spot.
A lot of people are paying attention to them right now, and that's it.
Some
I don't know
or most
why.
of that attention might be negative.
I don't know.
I don't
Personally, I
personally
don't have
know.
opinions.
I'm just repeating things that I've been told, which is how
Right.
we probably got in this situation in the first place. So, all right.
There we go. That's real political commentary. Now we move on.
Now,
Hard
our final article of the day. By the way, you were right about the first one.
I know
It was true.
because I saw it. I saw it.
Xi Jinping warns of second coronavirus wave, likely leading to disappearing Hong Kong residents.
Oh,
See, that one's a little bit trickier because would he really be blaming?
disappearing.
Because that,
I'm gonna say that has to be Onion too.
yeah, it's got to be fake. Because that's so blatantly like criticizing his own government.
That's the fun part, though. Yeah, it's fake. It's fake.
Yeah, okay.
This week wasn't supposed to be challenging. It was just supposed to be something,
Yeah, just a little
relatively
bit of
easy.
a light week. And
A light week, a nice, chill pina colada of a week,
I love a pina colada right now. Goddamn.
You could go for a cocktail.
I made margaritas a little while ago. They were real good.
You know what I miss?
I'm not a
I
fan
made
of. I'm not a fan of Marks. Not gonna lie.
I'm not a huge fan. Like, I've made better stuff. But
I just
it was
don't
good.
like. I don't like. What's the liquor that's in that?
Tequila.
Tequila. Yeah, no, I don't like tequila.
Yeah, I think it's my
Yeah.
least favorite of the major mixer drink
Because
liquid
it's
alcohols.
just bad.
For Star Wars Day, I made this beautiful blue milk banana daiquiri that I miss very much, and I want to make again
Aw.
someday, very
Dude.
soon.
On the
Nice.
cruise that I went on, they had these strawberry daiquiris that were just fantastic.
hmm
I mean, it was really just a strawberry smoothie with rum in it, but it was delicious.
That
what a
okay?
daiquiri
Nothing
is?
wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay, I have one more news article. I just saw this and I feel like it's perfect. This one's actually probably pretty difficult to determine. Sex workers say reverse cowgirl position prevents the spread of coronavirus.
I feel like a sex worker might say that.
That's great.
I'm just
And
like,
you know
where-
what? I think there might be some ground to stand on.
But they're not standing.
Well, exactly. They don't need to be. But like theoretical ground.
This podcast is PG-13, by the way, so we're not going to get
Oh,
any
is it?
more graphic than what we just said. But
Theoretical ground.
theoretically, is this a true or false article?
It's fake. I want it to be real because that'd be great.
Onion.
Boys, it's real.
Oh shit! Who said it?
way.
Yeah, that's great.
I saw that and had to repeat it. That was a good one.
That's awesome.
Again,
Good for them.
Great.
with the
Is there
caveat
real?
that
Is there?
I don't read these articles before I say them. So,
Is
maybe
that-
it's not true, but it's listed as being true.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, god damn
The
it.
caveat
The
that
first
I'm Richard, I'm
the
19 and I
first
have no
line of this article, call it the Corona Sutra.
No.
That's all I'm reading of that. I can't.
Yeah, I
great.
think
I
that's
can't
enough
do it.
news for the day. Let's keep going.
My
Yeah.
life has been
Fantastic.
ended. I'm done.
And we've barely even started.
We barely even started, but you know what we do start with every week? We talk about Star Wars.
Because
Why
in
are we
case
doing
you
that?
weren't aware, this is indeed a Star Wars podcast.
It's not a Star Wars podcast, but we still talk about Star Wars every single week without fail. I don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why. It's because I'm doing like a month-long Star Wars rewatch. That's probably
Is
why.
it that long to finish
As am
Star
I.
Wars?
Dude, there's so much
Oh.
Star Wars. You got
like,
9
not
movies.
just the movies?
Yeah,
9
the TV
mainline
show.
movies,
Oh,
right?
okay.
2 spin-off movies. You got 3 TV series, 4 if you're going to watch the bad one, which was Resistance, which I don't know if I'm going to do.
Wait, you're gonna watch Forces of Destiny?
That one doesn't exist.
Ryan.
That one
Ryan.
doesn't. We don't talk about that one.
Ryan.
But if you were to watch Forces of Destiny, they're 2 minutes long. I don't. You're making a bad
They're
decision, all right,
actions.
if you watch Forces of Destiny. But to each their own. I just finished watching the original trilogy again. And man, they are definitely the best Star Wars movies.
Yes, I agree.
It's not. It's just on the level of like they tell a complete story and it makes sense the entire way through. The characters are consistent. You don't get any wild stuff like Rey pulling a bunch of crap out of her ass, and saying I'm all the Jedi.
Just all of them.
Yeah, she says that. It's
It's
the
like the
worst
Avatar.
line.
She says she's the Avatar.
It's actually like such it resembles the end scene of Endgame so much. You know, like
Really?
in terms of can we talk about can I talk about I'm gonna spoil
All right,
Endgame.
we're gonna put spoiler warning up for the next like 5 minutes. Spoiler
Beep,
warning.
beep, 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 spoil
Whoever
time.
hasn't seen it, whatever.
I think we can
I,
continue this.
I was just reminded of it so much because at the very end you have Thanos and he's like, "Oh, I am inevitable," and then Iron Man's like, "And I am Iron Man." It's the exact same thing here, where what is it? Palpatine's like, "I am eternal" or whatever, or he's like, "I am the Sith," and she's like, "I am the Jedi," and it's like,
Yeah.
holy shit. It's
Oh,
kind of the
no.
same thing. You even have the ships coming in last minute around the same kind of time that like Captain Marvel comes in, and it's like it's such a similar ending.
Well, they
I don't know
probably
how to feel about
somebody
that.
was probably like, "Hey, you know that scene from Endgame? Yeah, can we make it look like that?"
Which, like, you know,
Directors do that a lot.
Yeah, but
Which,
Endgame
like, you know-
had so much build up, right? So
Well,
much
Endgame,
build up.
Yeah. Well, the whole fucking movie was built up.
well, I mean, when you think about it, the Rise of Skywalker is supposed to have build up, and
It did.
since like because it's supposed to be a saga that started in the fucking late 70s. So like,
It's supposed to. It didn't. Also, I
Yeah.
watched a video breaking down the like philosophical issue of the Sith Eternal being a thing, and I'm not like one for deep Star Wars lore. I just watch the stuff because it's fun. I like it, but I'm not gonna like go read essays on deep Star Wars lore. But this is the one point I think is super valid that someone brought up is that the entire gist of the first 6 movies, there's this running thread of like the Sith want eternal life. That's their goal, right? The difference is the Jedi have eternal life. They have Force Ghost, which is eternal life. And the way to become a Force Ghost is to be the most selfless you can possibly be and like not care about your own self. It's the one thing that Sith can't do. And George Lucas set that up to be like the biggest like dichotomy between the two, because he was like, it's super interesting that the Sith want something that they can actually never have. Like maybe they'll prolong their life, but they're all gonna die eventually. And this is something that George Lucas has been out on like in his director's commentaries and said this is like one of his favorite aspects of it. The Sith Eternal literally destroys all of that. It just breaks everything. It ruins that entire aspect of the films. It's wild.
yeah, to say that the
It's-
Rise of Skywalker was not well thought out would be both accurate and also an understatement simultaneously.
It's almost like the people who made the last trilogy didn't actually fully understand Star Wars.
Well, I don't know if that's true. It's more
I
just
mean-
there wasn't a plan, and so
No,
it makes it
because-
feel like they don't.
No,
understand.
they also didn't
They-
understand Star Wars.
They clearly didn't, because they just, like as Ryan just said, they literally just went completely against one of the main things in Star Wars. That was like supposed one of the things that George
It-
Lucas
Right,
so
did.
but,
there's also-
but my point is that you could chalk that up to them not having a plan, and so they pull this
Yeah.
shit out of their ass last minute.
But I also don't think
Yeah.
they were like, "Hey George, can you read this over?" And then he would have been like, "Wait a second, that goes against what everything in Star Wars is." And then,
I suppose. Okay, I want to say this too because I've been thinking about this for a while. Everyone's like, "Oh, Star Wars is better under George." I want to make it a point in saying that George ruined a lot of Star Wars on his own.
no,
I'm
he
just
did.
saying.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I'm
there
not
are so
saying-
many
I'm not-
things that he did.
I'm not saying
just-
the sequel trilogy is not a horrible nightmare in a lot of ways, but
It's also, I think George is a much better writer than he is a director. Like
no, he's just,
the
He's
general
not-
plot,
No.
at
I've
least
heard
in
his
the
writing was
original trilogy,
dreadful.
right?
Well, think about it this way. He wrote the first one. He didn't write Empire Strikes Back, which is the best one. It was Lawrence Kasdan, and I don't think
Yeah.
he wrote Return of the Jedi either. And if you know the story of A New Hope or It was just called Star Wars back. The original cut was very much resembled what the prequels ended up becoming, and it was a movie that was saved through editing and a lot of just post-production work.
I think writing might be the wrong word. What I think I'm talking about is like world building and set design, like crafting a unique setting. I think that's his strength, because like even in the prequels, that stuff is fantastic. Like the whole setup of the Clone Wars is super interesting. The execution is the problem.
Is it an interesting setup because of the show, though?
It's an interesting setup because the Clone Wars exist in New Hope. Like a lot of people are like they didn't build to this, but in New Hope, Obi-Wan literally says, "I fought in the Clone Wars."
Right, but it was a one-sentence description.
Exactly, but that one-sentence description is so interesting. You hear that and you're like, "Wait, what?" That's just a cool thing. Like I don't really need the background to that, but it's cool that it exists.
And can we talk about that for a second? Because there's that. They make this huge successful thing about the Clone Wars, with the 3D animated series. How was the 2D animated series for that? The movies, not so much. But from what you guys have been saying, it's been majorly popular. And then we have the Han Solo mentioning the Kessel Run, and then you get the Solo movie pretty much from that. Fortunately. So
Solo's not that bad. It's not a great movie, but it's not. It at least makes sense.
It's growing on me like a tiny.
You can follow the plot.
Tiny little bit.
There's this trend of just pulling from one sentence mentions to sort of prolong the content.
Going
to get them in trouble more so down the line? Do you think it will eventually get better? How is this going to pan out?
It's something that really annoys me personally, that it feels like they can't. I feel like I've mentioned this before in one of our conversations, but it really bugs me when they have to base a story off of a character that we recognize or something that was mentioned previously. And honestly, as much as I'm enjoying the Clone Wars, it's all over the place in that show. Like it's
Clone Wars is one of the most like wildly varying shows I think people can watch.
And it's like, oh, here's Grand Moff Tarkin, here's Chewbacca, and it's like what you're doing is you're mentioning all these things, these like characters and places and events that people recognize, which can get you kind of excited from a nostalgia perspective. But you also have to think about, if you're mentioning the same things and you're bringing up the same characters, it makes the entire world of Star Wars feel so small because they're using the same things over and over again. And this is a giant, it's space. Like there's so many things out there you could do. There's so many stories to tell. There's so many characters you can show. There's so many different races, and they just refuse.
That's fan service, right?
Yeah, it's fan service to the extreme degree where it just becomes infuriating, and it's like ruining your world by doing that.
So I definitely agree to a point. Was that Ben?
I said I was thinking you need to look at the Clone Wars as well, like from where the time it came out. Like it was a time when Star Wars was kind of. It's like right in the middle of the old movies and the new ones. Like the Star Wars hype was pretty low, so they kind of had to cash in on
the Clone Wars. When the Clone Wars movie came out, Star Wars hype was at a pretty big high because a new generation of kids had grown up watching the prequel trilogy and were super into it. Because like kids don't care if a movie's good; they care if it's cool. Which the prequel trilogy has a lot of cool moments that kids enjoy. So kids were super into it. So the Clone Wars movie came out at a high point of Star Wars interest, but the Clone Wars movie is almost nearly entirely a trash fire.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that did not watch the Clone Wars series because the movie was bad.
I don't think.
And it's not their fault either. Really. That was another classic George Lucas decision.
Yeah, that's a story for a different time. But
my thought is that the Star Wars universe didn't have the respect it had as much as the character, like the value of the characters was a lot higher than the value of the Star Wars universe back then.
Yeah.
But now like the Mandalorian has come out and proven that people like the setting, not just Han Solo and not just all the.
It's also
characters.
Like the Mandalorian, I think, is the perfect way to tie in stuff from other parts of Star Wars. Like you have a callback to Star Wars, and that Mandalorians are super cool race of people and like culture that is in a bunch of the other Star Wars stuff, but is never highlighted that much. So having a show just like super into that specific aspect and seeing things we've never seen before in Star Wars is super cool. I also want to bring up Rebels, because Rebels, the reason I think I like Rebels so much is that Rebels has a cast of characters that is almost entirely original and completely unrelated to the rest of Star Wars. Like there's a moment in Rebels when it's like during the formation of the Rebel Alliance, and I'm gonna avoid major spoilers. But the gist of it is that like you learn the reason we don't see a lot of these rebels in the original trilogy is because they don't agree with the Rebel Alliance on a lot of stuff. Because the Rebel Alliance is focusing on ending this one thing, whereas this rebel group joined up because they wanted to protect their homeworld, and the Rebel Alliance is basically telling them we don't have the resources, so you're on your own.
Oh,
Which I think is super interesting. That's like it's really widening the world.
Kind of reminds me of what they were trying to do with Jyn Erso from Rogue One.
Yeah. Well, because Saw Gerrera is in Rebels. A lot of his lead up is in Rebels.
Right.
And it's super interesting because you really see like how he progresses as a character to a really dark place. But yeah, Rebels is I think it keeps a higher quality consistency than Clone Wars, but it doesn't really reach the highs of Clone Wars. And it still has some bad episodes, but they're less, and you generally don't care about them because they're not about characters you care about. And then the finale of Rebels is, I think, well, not the finale episode. It's okay, but it's not great. But that finale of the story arc of a lot of the characters is incredible.
Speaking of consistency, it was such a funny. So I was watching Clone Wars yesterday. And I watched a bunch of episodes. There was like a bit. There was like a chunk of episodes that I watched. It started off with a Jar Jar episode that I just skipped completely because I didn't care. I couldn't do it. And then it got into Darth Maul coming back, which was so cool. And then right after that is an episode just about C-3PO and R2, and I'm like, that is a perfect like example of the show's inconsistency.
Yeah,
where, like,
so I think you're at the point of the
set of episodes that are just great, and then it's like it's capped off. It's like started and ended by some crappy one-off episodes that have Jar Jar and 3PO that I don't care about.
So are you still watching the watch order that I gave you?
Yeah, I've been sticking to that.
So the other thing to remember with that is you're jumping around. The reason that specific part is there is because the episodes after that R2-D2 and C-3PO arc are not good. They're like, I think the one with the droids on like the Void planet are pretty universally renowned as the worst episodes of the Clone Wars. It's a 4-episode arc about droids and a really dumb droid commander. It's terrible. If you're watching them, you should skip them. And the only interesting part in the 3rd episode of that 4-episode arc, there's a super cool clone who shows up who is in the Republic commando armor.
Ooh,
so
okay.
And that episode is like a one-off story. It focuses on that guy. The droids are still there, but they're not the center point. The center point is him, and that episode's really interesting. The other 3 are terrible.
Is it bad with the critics? Is it because it's like misplaced comic relief?
Yeah, it's misplaced comic relief. That's exactly what it is.
It's also they're stories that like whenever you get those episodes that are just about droids or whatever, they're one off. They have nothing to do with anything. And you know, like with the Darth Maul episodes, there's a lot of emotions and there's a lot of stuff going on there. And then you just go to these episodes that have nothing to do with anything, and it completely ruins the pace.
It's major tonal whiplash. Because you go from like a super awesome Darth Maul episode that is dark, people get murderized, there's like people getting impaled, it's wild, to a really awful episode of a droid. It's just
or Jar Jar.
They don't belong in the same show.
Like literally, it was great. I was watching. There was an episode where they were underwater and they were having this like whole underwater fight with the Quarrens, which I kept wanting to say Quarians because it's massive.
Yeah,
anyway,
massively.
and the Mon Calamari, and they couldn't deploy more clone troopers, and they're like, we need an underwater army that we can deploy, and I was like, no, don't, and they're like, we need the Gungans. I was like, no. And then just the rest of that arc, there was a bunch of Gungans running around, and I couldn't take it seriously.
Yeah, that arc is also not great.
It was fine up until the Gungan showed up. Like a lot of it wasn't terrible, and then
Yeah, it's Clone Wars just varies wildly in quality. It's definitely worth watching, but it's also one of the shows where like if you're not enjoying an episode, it is generally perfectly okay to skip it.
yeah, and it. I have such a hard time recommending it because like those good episodes are really good, but when you're recommending to people that there's a bunch of episodes that you can just skip around in, like what does that really say about your show?
Well,
know what
you
I
can
mean?
skip around. You're still losing stuff. Like, so I've watched the entirety of the Clone Wars. I haven't skipped episodes twice. The entirety of the Clone Wars is worth watching if you're okay with doing that. But the reality is, it's a 7-season long TV show. It's long. And a lot of people don't have the time for that. So if you're not enjoying like 20 minutes of Jar Jar, you don't really need to watch 20 minutes of Jar Jar. You can, and you'll get some interesting stuff out of it. But it's like how much entertainment are you willing to sit through like the bad stuff to get to?
Right.
Because if you're not willing to sit through the bad stuff, I think the show does a good enough job of explaining the premise in every episode that you don't really need to watch them all directly in order or even watch all of them. Because a lot of the arcs are self-contained. You just need to have a general outline of who the characters are. The big thing is to like, if you see Ahsoka, watch every episode with Ahsoka in it because she's like the most important character.
Yeah.
And you'll miss her character arc. But yeah, it's a show that varies super wildly in quality.
That's the thing is that like you and a bunch of other people are like, oh, you're gonna have a different perspective when you rewatch episode 3 leading off from the Clone Wars. And I'm like, the thing is, there's going to be so many characters that they're in Clone Wars that just aren't in the movie that it's gonna I don't know, it's just gonna affect my enjoyment of it. And there's just gonna be so many like things that the show did that were so high quality, like voice acting and shot composition, and all that's gonna be such a downgrade.
Yeah, I'll say the finale of Clone Wars does a fantastic job of setting up Revenge of the Sith. It happens concurrently with Revenge of the Sith, and like there are moments in it which are like, again, the Clone Wars finale is one of the only things in Star Wars that has made me actually cry. Like, it is incredibly good. I think when you get to that point, you'll understand what people are saying about it. I don't want to say anything else because it'll give away a lot of the super cool bits about it, but yeah, it's incredible. It doesn't make Revenge of the Sith incredible, but it makes the context around Revenge of the Sith a lot better.
Right.
Yeah, I think that probably caps off the Star Wars discussion for now. I think we did it.
Got through it.
We got through it. We survived.
Took up more than half of our show. But,
set your phasers to stun. We're on to Star Trek.
Are we though?
No, we're not. I don't have any Star
Thank
Trek
God.
news.
I haven't Star Trek in a whole long time.
Star Trek's a good show. I haven't watched it in like 5 years, but
I have never watched it. I watched one of the new reboot movies, and then I was like, well, that was I
like the reboot movies,
but I'm not gonna watch them again.
dude, it's just the Next Generation is great TV to have on at the side while you're doing something else because it's super calming.
That almost sounds like an insult.
No, it's great. Next Generation is legitimately one of my favorite TV shows. It's super good. But like it's like The Office, right? If you've watched The Office a bunch, you can just put it on and know where you are in the show.
It's kind of like Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
I gotta watch Always Sunny, dude. I've
Always
never
Sunny's great.
actually watched the whole thing because I don't have Hulu.
I watched all the seasons that were available on Netflix a while ago. I don't think they're there anymore.
That it's not on Netflix anymore now.
Yeah, that sucks. Netflix is
on
getting
Hulu.
shit together.
Avatar's back on Netflix.
Actually, I do have tertiary news to the Star Wars discussion. It's not related to Star Wars,
Oh God.
but it was a
And we're
situation that
back.
arose when my mother and I were trying to watch Star Wars together. What happened is we have a Samsung TV that we use to watch Disney Plus. It's a smart TV that my mother got a while ago. So we're watching Star Wars on this smart TV for the entire last like month and a half, right? Not month and a half, like a month. It's been working perfectly. Yesterday, we turn it on and we get an error that says Disney Plus is no longer available on 2016 smart TVs. Please wait for a fix.
What?
They broke it, dude.
They broke it.
They're
They
like-
completely broke Disney Plus on those TVs. I don't know if it's Samsung's fault or Disney Plus's fault, but
I'm sure it's
somehow
some
the
dumb
entire
licensing
entire
problem.
year's worth of smart TVs, at least Samsung smart TVs, cannot watch Disney Plus right now. It's bizarre.
Oh my god.
I don't understand how that happens. I don't know what their QC check did that caused this.
I feel like it's something to do with licensing or something. I doubt it's a. If there was a message that literally
No,
says,
it's not licensing. It's the app just breaks. Like
Oh.
it doesn't work because before this message, we turned it on and it said app config error. It's
Oh, okay,
something
never
with like how it's handling settings or something. And
Alright,
then
well-
you launch it and like there's a bunch of support articles now. People just can't watch it on their TVs. And like 2016 is not
Imagine
that
that.
long ago, right?
Wow.
I assume it's Samsung's fault.
I don't know.
I assume
have no
Disney Plus
clue.
updated and they just haven't updated their 2016 TVs in a while.
Well, the thing is, Disney Plus
I-
pushed an update out to say that they were going to fix it. That's
Oh.
what they pushed out.
All right, well, who knows?
But it's just weird. Like I think that's a
That's-
super
yeah,
weird situation to have arise.
Especially right now.
Yeah, it's just wild. Because a lot of people are doing like major rewatches because it's COVID. So people are like in their homes,
Well, I mean, I'm
relaxing.
sure they weren't like, "Oh man, it's COVID. Let's break our
Let's
app."
break
No,
it. Let's break it right now.
It's just
Oh.
unfortunate timing, but like,
Can we do worse than Quibi? Can we do it?
No, we can't. You know what? No. For people that don't know, Quibi was a weird streaming service. Does it still exist? Is it still around?
I'm still getting.
Emphasis on was.
I don't know.
No,
I
it's
feel like
probably
it's gonna.
still
It's gotta stop at
It's
some
probably-
point. It can't. Keep
it has
going.
to stop.
Right.
It
so,
was supposed
so
to be bite-sized content.
literally, yeah. So they would have exclusive content, only exclusive like.
Yeah, you had to
shows
pay
and
for
stuff.
this.
It's a streaming service, and each episode was like what 5-10 minutes max or something like that. And their big unique feature is that you can only watch it on mobile. This is true. You can only watch it on your phone. And their big feature is that you can turn your phone portrait and watch every show portrait because it supports that. That's their,
No.
I hate it.
that's
so
their
much.
big yeah.
I
Yep.
hate
That's a
it
real
so
thing.
much.
But man, they
Damage to the Americans. My God, what's the word?
Retinas. Damage our retinas.
Oh, it's Ah,
you got it, Alex.
not train of thought. Oh my God, they got me.
Attention span.
Yes, attention span. Oh my God.
We did it. We solved the mystery.
Ah! Squirrel.
Well done, gang.
No, but it's the shocking thing about it is that it's a streaming platform, or it's the whoever made this streaming platform. They obviously had a lot of money to throw around because they have a lot of big name people working
Oh,
on
yeah.
shows.
I
Like
think
it's crazy.
Steven
I think-
Spielberg's on it. Like,
yeah, Steven Spielberg is on it. They have a lot of popular actors like Anna Kendrick and what's his face, Liam Hemsworth. Like a lot of really famous people, all for nothing, really. It's
Sophie Turner was in one of
I
those.
don't know how they do it. Like,
Yeah.
it's wild.
and the funny thing is it's doing really horribly, and they blame COVID-19 for it doing horribly.
For people,
So-
every
That
other
is-
streaming service is having record numbers.
like that is the honestly, if you're going to release a streaming service, that is right now, as horrible as it sounds, is the best time to do it. Like without a shadow
Well,
of a
the
doubt.
maybe if you
longer
can
this
watch it on
goes,
your
it'll be worse.
computer.
If,
But, like,
maybe
Why would
a
why would
TV,
the best
computer?
anything? I'm not gonna watch stuff on my phone when I can watch it on my computer because I'm stuck at home.
Plus, there's
Yeah.
like they had like a 90-day free trial too, and their numbers were down even with people. with
Yeah,
people
so
who
I
had
think the
it.
number was they got like 3 million free trial users, and then they immediately dropped to like 1 million users.
Yeah.
It's such a wild drop in like content retention. I don't.
Well, that's just well, this isn't worth paying for, crowd. Like,
Yeah, but the free trial is still active. The 90-day free,
Oh, okay.
free trial isn't over yet.
oh,
I
so
think-
they just didn't.
They didn't like it, stopped using it immediately, even though it's costing them nothing.
It's
Yep.
free and they're on a meeting. Yeah.
It-
I think we've reached a point. I think we've reached a point where if you're not like like a TV network or something like that has a wide variety of stuff that people already want to watch, it's going to be almost impossible for you to start a streaming service based off of original content.
Yeah.
Like Netflix did it because they were probably one of the first people to do it, but you have to be HBO, you have to be Disney at this point in order to have a successful streaming service.
I mean, a lot of it is like YouTube still has a lot of great content that's completely free.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like,
and YouTube was around before any of these other streaming services were. So
Yeah.
you would have to
way earlier.
make some pretty good stuff on YouTube, and then maybe you could have a streaming service, kind of like what Rooster Teeth did.
Yeah, but even then, Rooster Teeth still puts their stuff on YouTube. Like,
I know,
they understand
exactly.
that they're not going to make nearly the same amount of money from having all their stuff in one place.
Right. But like that's basically the only way you could feasibly create an original.
Yeah, or a group. So like, I have
Only-
Rooster Teeth
right.
because I have Verve, which has
Right,
Crunchyroll
so-
and a bunch of and High Dive,
Yeah.
which is all like anime stuff,
But like,
which is good value. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I'm not gonna go buy Funimation because
well,
even though
Funimation's
they have-
garbage now anyway.
even though they have shows that I kind of want to watch, it's like I'm already paying for something else that lets me watch similar stuff, so I don't really care to
Yeah.
pay to watch other similar
That's
stuff.
also the problem is now it's like you want as much as you can in one spot or maybe two spots. Like having
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 different streaming services that you're subscribed to starts to get to be a pain in the ass.
No, it's
Unless
like even I already I
really
use
got-
like Netflix, Verve, and Disney Plus, and
expensive.
it's still too much. I don't.
Yeah.
It's too much. And I think any new stuff is gonna have too severe competition to really succeed.
unless they've got
No,
like a killer show like Disney Plus.
They need more than one.
Like, you know.
Like Disney Plus is
And-
killer because it's got killer shows. It's also got every
Star
animated Disney
Wars.
movie ever.
And yeah,
Disney, like it was never not gonna
right,
do well
exactly.
because it's Disney.
I know, but
Yes.
like even from my perspective, who wouldn't watch the Disney movies because I probably have them all on DVD or something in this house because that's how it
VHS.
works. Yeah, exactly. On like freaking floppy drives somewhere in this house. But like the selling point of Disney Plus would be the Mandalorian and like any other Star Wars stuff that comes out, and that would be good value. Like I
Yeah,
haven't
and
paid
even just
for it
having
'cause I
access
have
to all the
money,
Marvel
but-
movies. Like
Too.
Yeah, exactly. Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, but they have like one thing really that's very good, and like you could do that feasibly, but other than that, like you just gotta have everything or one.
No,
yeah, it's like
and-
people
popular
generally aren't
show.
on Disney Plus for their original content. It's for either existing stuff or stuff that is being made in existing universes like Star Wars.
and
Oh,
kind of back to what you were talking. Oh, go ahead.
Just I'll get another month of Disney Plus when Mandalorian returns.
Yeah,
Might check out WandaVision.
I've heard WandaVision looks really interesting.
And then I'm really excited for a She-Hulk series because next to Iron Man, she was my favorite superhero.
Really?
Dude, superheroes are cool.
But like Hulk is more calm.
That's why I watch
Avengers, Marvel.
Boku the Boys. I haven't
Uh,
caught up on it though.
Neither have I.
Oh,
I've been like slowly catching up in the background.
But
I'm
back
gonna
to what you were
transform this
saying.
into an anime podcast.
Back
It
to what
was.
you
It
were
already
saying.
was an anime podcast.
Yeah, I know. I'm going back.
Those videos have big views.
Oh shit, we gotta
We're
get
cracking
back
into the double digits.
Let Wyatt talk. He's been trying to get this point across
Yeah.
for 25 minutes.
It's back to what you were saying in terms of like people want just one or two services, right?
Yeah.
That's why when Disney Plus was announced, everyone everyone that I knew at least was really excited about it, and I was absolutely just dreading it because now you're gonna have a situation where yet again you're gonna have like all of your stuff that you want to watch just split apart into different
Yeah.
services. And I think because I don't want to speak I don't want I don't know if this is true or not, but I think what happened like because some of my favorite Netflix shows were Jessica Jones, Daredevil. I love those shows, and now they're canceled. And I could be wrong, but I think it's because Disney Plus they were
I think that's definitely
developed
played
Plus
into
at
it. There've been
And it just-
rumors that they might pick up some of those shows with the same actors and like continue them. But those rumors have
I-
been around for like a year now, and we haven't heard anything. So I'm not super optimistic.
I really hope because they were
They
of
were
the best
fantastic.
Netflix shows. They're so good, and it's one of the reasons why it took me so long. And even now, I'm not paying for Disney Plus. I'm leeching off of a friend,
Yeah.
but it's part of the reason that I wasn't looking forward to it because it's like, now I'm gonna have to get another streaming service if I want to watch other stuff. It's just gonna split everything apart. And also, they had to cancel these other shows on other platforms just to like bring attention back, and as someone who really loved those shows, it was really
I
disappointing.
mean, I think they're all technically like still Marvel canon and everything. It's just that like they're not actively being produced right now, which is a shame. But at the same time, a lot of the shows at the point that Disney Plus came around were already on like a downward spiral. Like Daredevil wasn't doing as well as it used to, I think, because people were getting tired of it being very samey. Because I know when I was watching Daredevil, the last like season is basically just a downward spiral of these characters are doing a lot of weird things and like aren't talking to each. The biggest issue is that characters don't talk to each other, right? And then that creates all these situations that are so easily avoidable, and Daredevil did that to a point that I think it stopped being fun to watch.
Do you so this is pure speculation. Do you think the downward spirals of the shows have anything to do with the fact that they knew that their shows were going to be canceled, or maybe?
I don't think so, because I think it's in the writing. It's not like the acting, it's the writing.
Well, yeah, but like even if it was like maybe, now this is pure speculation. I'm not saying, I'm not claiming anything, but my mind immediately jumps to maybe something was affected in production because they knew they were going to be shut down. So maybe something, I don't know.
I don't think so. At least not in the case of Daredevil season 3.
I was really pissed that they canceled.
My issue with Daredevil is that like Daredevil got to the point where it just kind of stopped. Was that what?
But hey, they got me. They got me eventually, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Daredevil was in this weird spot where it was taking too long to get to interesting plot points because it had to wait for other shows to catch up. I feel like that was probably the issue, because they wanted to do the whole Defenders. Oh, we lost Wyatt. I think he lost power. That's okay.
Oh no!
But yeah, I think so we got a Defenders show, which was not great.
That was the worst Marvel.
I don't know. I think the worst was Iron Fist. Defenders, I think, was a little bit better, but not by a lot. So yeah, they were on a downward spiral. What was that, Alex?
Iron Fist was so bad too.
Yeah, it's like Iron Fist had a good concept, and a lot of the writing was okay, but the main actor, I'm blanking on his name, was not like a martial artist, and Iron Fist is so heavily into martial arts that when you lose that aspect of the character, and they tried to do it, like they tried to have him do a bunch of martial arts stuff, it just doesn't look good. Like it clearly isn't like a Bruce Lee level kung fu movie, which is what it should have been. That's like what Iron Fist should be.
Also has to deal with cinematography.
Yeah.
It just felt too plain to be the type of show that it wanted to be.
Well, it felt the same as every other Netflix Marvel show. And I think I'll stand by my favorite Netflix Marvel show, and the one I think is very clearly the best is Jessica Jones season 1, because it has a very well told and story that ends. Like there's a distinct ending. The show continued after that because it was a good show, but like if you watch just season 1 of Jessica Jones, you get a very great like encapsulated Marvel story with a fantastic villain that has a good ending. And I think that's something that people really desire from Marvel, is we don't really get a lot of endings.
I keep meaning to watch that. Is it still on Netflix?
Yeah, it's still on Netflix. It probably will be. I think they have, because they produce the shows. I don't think Disney Plus is going to get them, at least for a while, unless they shell out the big bucks for Netflix.
Oh, there was also what do you guys think of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I actually just started watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a little while ago.
I haven't watched any of these TV shows.
Oh, we got Wyatt back.
Seasons, but they're starting
Internet
to be
cut out.
Yeah, we figured. Yeah, so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I thought it was interesting. I hear there's some really cool stuff with like Ghost Rider in it at some point, so I want to see that.
Ooh.
I had a friend who was really obsessed with it. His name is Zach for you three. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He absolutely loved the show, and he tried to describe to me why the show is so great. And every time he described it, it just did not seem interesting at all.
It's not that great.
And I don't blame that on him. It's just everything he talked about. I was like, that sounds just not
It's just
interesting.
like all
I
the
don't know.
original characters in the show aren't great. Like Agent Coulson is really cool because he was in the Marvel movies and he's like the same quality of a character there. And Nick Fury's in it a few times. That's all cool.
Did you see
Um,
the? Did any of you guys see the? Sorry to go off topic here again. Did any of you guys see the little Marvel short? A funny thing happened on the way to Thor's hammer.
I don't think so. I haven't heard of that.
What?
It's really cute. It's a little sort of. I think it's maybe 5 or 10 minutes. It's a little, Agent Coulson comedy. Um,
Oh, I think I
it's
have seen this. When did this come out? It was a while ago, wasn't it?
yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think I have seen this a while ago. It's like ringing bells. Because Agents of Shield has, I think, a callback to that where they go like, the last time we found something like this, it was a hammer, and they're talking about Thor's hammer. I think that's a callback to that scene. But yeah, Agents of Shield it's fun, but it's not that good. I think that's my opinion on
It's
it.
just okay.
It's got some good moments.
7 out of 10.
But like none of the moments in Agents of Shield have any impact on the Marvel movies whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's the other way around. The Marvel movies change what happens in Agents of Shield to a point where like the show's just not super interesting.
Well, which, to be honest, like because it's a TV show and it's not like the mainstream movies, isn't like
Well,
a
it's gotta
bad
be that way, yeah.
concept. Isn't a bad concept in and of itself, I think. Because
Yeah, but like nothing the characters do has any importance in the world. Like any. The entire time I'm thinking about like these characters are doing a bunch of random crap that has nothing to do with the actual threats going on.
You could say the same with like Daredevil and Jessica Jones, though, couldn't you?
Yeah, but those are character focused stories. This is a Shield focused story.
Oh, okay.
So it's weird in that the show very clearly wants to have importance, but it doesn't. So and they're not writing their characters well enough.
Cute. That's so cute.
It's like the main character is Skye. She's interesting in the first season, but she's pretty much a Mary Sue.
I don't think I think the main character switches from her in later seasons.
Probably because I feel like I think she kind of ages out of the show at some point.
Yeah.
Where I think like the actress just didn't want to do it. I have no clue if this is true or not, but even in season 2, it seems weird. Like she's not that interesting in it, and it's an ensemble cast. It's not like she's the main character. There's a bunch of characters, but they do some interesting things with one character. Like one character he's normal in the first season, but he gets brain damage at a point, and then they show the second season has an episode where this character is like struggling with his brain damage, and he's having a conversation with a close friend. And then you pan out and realize he's locked in a room and that friend isn't there. And like that hits hard. That's a cool moment in the show, but it's one of the only really cool character moments.
It was one of the tech guys, right?
Yeah. There's some stuff with them that's really cool, but aside from that, it plays out pretty much like any kind of not true life, but true crime series. Any of the 100 cop dramas, it's pretty similar to those, just with a Shield backdrop. But if you're into them, you'll probably like it. But it's
Speaking of cop dramas, a cool one, which I haven't watched in a really long time, but I wish I had, is Gotham. I don't know if they've even come out with more of that.
I think they have. I feel like it ended.
But I liked it. Of course, it was like the only crime drama I've ever watched, so I'm not like burnt out on the genre, but it's like obviously in the Batman universe.
I watched
Go for it.
I watched a couple of episodes in the first season, and the only thing I could really think about was it's really ballsy to have it set on all these characters that isn't Batman, and I really respected it for that. like the show itself was fine, but that was the one thing I kept taking away. I was like, they made a whole show about Gotham and didn't put Batman in it, and I think
it's really cool because you do see Bruce Wayne a little bit as a kid.
Yeah.
Right. And you see like him, how he meets like Catwoman and shit. And you actually get to see some of like, I think as the series goes on, it was supposed to introduce more of the mainstay like Batman villains, but I don't know if they even got there. Like, I haven't followed it at all, but
they have Joker.
Yeah, exactly. Like
they covered Joker.
Yeah, they covered Joker in some way. And like, I was like, oh, that's really cool. You get to see him before everything goes wrong or like everything goes down in the movies and stuff.
Which so just a fun little factoid for you, just to make make it clear that this is a Star Wars podcast. It's really cool that they got the actor who plays Joker from Gotham to play Cal Kestis in Fallen Order, and that's cool because Mark Hamill was also a Jedi in Star Wars and also played the Joker.
Yep.
Fun
And we're
little
back to
connection.
Star Wars.
We're back to Star. It all comes
look,
back to
we're talking
Star
about-
Wars.
We're talking about it. I just had to bring it up because that like hit me a little while ago, and I thought that was really cool. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think that wraps up the TV segment of the show.
we, believe it or not, don't have anything to do, so we just watch TV all the time.
Well, we'll play video games. So I do
Or
want to
play
talk about a
video
video game.
Oh, a video
Oh.
game.
There's
You play
video
those still?
games that exist.
what are they?
Hearthstone. Hearthstone exists. That's a
I
video
don't like
game.
that one.
There's League of Legends.
I don't like
You've
that
got your
one.
Fortnite.
What are we talking about?
Star Wars
Instead of
Battle.
those
But I
two?
want to talk about Xenoblade.
Oh, I don't want to talk about that one.
Xenoblade. What a great transition. All right.
Damn.
Xenoblade, for people that don't know, is a popular series of JRPGs. It's been going for a while, since
Really
like the
good,
PS1 or PS2 with Xenogears. They just released Xenoblade Chronicles Remastered. Xenoblade Chronicles is a JRPG that released on the Wii. At like a year after the Wii had basically died. So this game released to like a pretty dead platform at the time, and a platform that was never really that popular with JRPG people to begin with, because it was a casual system pretty much. But when it released, it was renowned as one of the best JRPGs that has ever come out, pretty much. And I'm finally being able to play it on the Switch because they just released Definitive Edition on Friday. And it's a wild experience because you play through it and you realize how far ahead of the time this game was. Like, I'm playing through an area and I look and there's this giant lake, right? And you think, oh, this is probably just scenery, right? This is a Wii game. There's no way that lake is real, right? And then you look around and you realize you can get across the chasm, right? There's this huge chasm. And you look around again and you're like, oh, I'm really tempted to just jump off and see if you can get down to the lake. You can jump off and get down to the lake. This lake is massive. It takes like 5 minutes to swim from one side to the other. This game was on the Wii. It's wild.
I've only played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but I like that game.
Xenoblade Chronicles 1, I think, is better in pretty much every way.
Probably.
2 is also really good. It's just a lot of
But are you
anime
feeling it?
bullshit. It's a lot of anime bullshit.
In 2.
In 2. 1 has a
Yeah, I
lot
mean, I was-
less.
I was huge into my anime bullshit phase, so I.
1
had
is
a
still
good
has
time.
anime bullshit, but it's got a lot less, and it also hits hard. Like there is a major character death within like 6 hours of the beginning, and you go like, wait a minute, what? The game did that? Games don't do that. You can't do this to me. I played it on stream. My reaction to that is on YouTube. It's pretty bad.
Oh,
I was
What do you mean it's pretty bad?
I had to react. Look,
Twitch YouTubers react.
I streamed it for a little while, and then I was like, you know what? I'm too invested in this game to stream it the entire time because I want to play it literally 20 hours in the next like week. So I stopped streaming it so I can play it as much as I want.
Just play it as much as you want and stream it the whole time.
Yeah, but
What's
it's
wrong
on
with
the
that?
Switch, so I can like get off and go walk around and
Oh,
play it
yeah.
on my Switch, which
you
is
know,
nice.
you know how Switch owners do. They just walk around.
Yeah, they just walk around. They go to the toilet. They play JRPGs. You know, it's how the
Yeah.
Switch works. Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition came out. It is extremely good. Yeah, I'd heavily recommend it, and it's also like I think honestly my favorite level design of any RPG I've ever played.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy
Wow.
because Xenoblade has this like extreme aversion to invisible walls. To the point where like if you see a pit of lava that you very clearly any other game would either block you from going into or instantly kill you, you can jump down to the pit of lava and there might be something down there. You never know. There might be something in the pit of lava. It's still going to damage you and probably kill you. But there's the little inkling in your brain that's like, last time I found something like in this weird spot, maybe there's something down there. So you jump. There's nothing down there, but you still jumped, and it was very fun. It's a good experience. I think it is very much a great example of how to do good level design, and also like not get bogged down in realism. Because Xenoblade's level design is great because it's very not real. You got like wild growing trees. The world is literally the back of a giant humanoid.
What?
Yeah, Xenoblade's
no.
world is on a Titan.
Xenoblade is whack.
Yeah, it's real cool though. You're literally on a giant Titan. And the part of the level I just went through to get to the part I'm at, which is the back of the Titan, I had to go through the leg, right? So you're climbing up the leg, and like the leg is massive. It's huge.
Where did you start?
You started at the knee, I think. So you're going up. We're trying to get to the head, and to get to the head, we had to go inside the lung. And if you look through a window in the lung, that's like clearly one of the valves that in actual lungs is how you get air into them. It's meant to be that. You look out, you can see the heart of this thing pumping, and it's gigantic. It's crazy. It is so cool.
Yeah. In two, you have to like you go through a mouth of one into its like stomach, and like there's a whole city in there and stuff. It's like pretty cool.
It's wild. Some of the coolest settings and world design of any JRPGs. I don't know. I would probably say the coolest setting in world design. Xenoblade
really
X,
unique,
not so much,
like-
but Xenoblade 1 and 2 are fantastic.
It's
Yeah,
very
that's the
unique.
game.
Anyway.
I feel like I've seen promotionals or advertisements for one of the Xenoblade games where they're in sort of Evangelion style mechs. Is that...
Oh yeah, that's Xenoblade.
Huh.
It's also it's not low tech. Xenoblade has mechs.
Kind of.
Xenoblade X, you can pilot the mechs actually, because it's about the mechs. Xenoblade 1 and 2, they're like plot devices or enemies. In 1, they're pretty much the enemies. It's
Ooh,
wild.
Interesting.
Super cool. Fantastic series. The voice acting is really unique because they're all super accented. And of course, as an American, if you're from the places they're from, they're not accented. But as an American, it's a lot of like British casting, and they're some of the most memorable voices. Like I still have flashbacks of Nia in Xenoblade 2 going, "And we're here." It's
And we're here.
wonderful.
She's got the best, dude. It's a Welsh cat girl. Like, what gets better than that?
absolutely fantastic games.
Welsh cat girl, you say?
Yeah,
Yep.
bud.
And she wears like this orange jumpsuit. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's great.
Had
I've been
anyone else
playing
played some
Escape
video
from
games?
Tarkov. That's it. That's all I've been playing. You can catch me live on Twitch. Link in the description.
That
don't know.
that
I don't
plug
think it
was
actually
just
is.
There's a link in the
smooth as
sidebar. There's not a
butter.
link in the description.
Link in the sidebar. We'll put an annotation on this video. Don't
No,
worry.
we won't. No, we won't. We're not doing that.
Um,
We don't edit these videos.
okay.
Well,
we won't.
I've been playing two games that are practically the exact same game in every single way imaginable.
I'm so ready.
The first one being Death Stranding, and then the second one being Call of Duty World War II.
Nice. You know, actually, speaking of Call of Duty, I've been playing a couple bit of games of Warzone, and I've actually started to warm up to it. Like, it's actually not a bad battle royale, which is, you know, a
Yeah.
tired genre as it is. But I kind of discounted it when I first played it. It was like, you know, it's kind of like what was the other Black Ops 4 had a battle royale?
Blackout, yeah.
Yeah, I hated that one because the time to kill was so long. But I don't know,
I
it's
like
different. And
Blackout.
in the new one, it feels pretty good. I don't know what the difference is, but I'm actually kind of
They changed a lot of things, a lot of the things that made Blackout really interesting to me. So the first thing was the map design. I thought was cooler in Blackout.
Yeah, I mean the
because-
map's very underwhelming in Warzone. I think it's just
I mean,
kinda-
it's like a functional basic battle royale
Yeah,
map. Like it works
just
for what
kinda
it
lame.
is. But Blackout was so cool because if you didn't know, the entire battle royale map was essentially like Call of Duty multiplayer maps stitched together.
yeah, so
and it
is
was
so is
So
Warzone,
cool.
but Call of Duty, the Modern Warfare maps in Call of Duty are just dumb.
It was so cool though, and they even had like
Because
zombies.
Blackout
They
had
had
like
s-
the,
they
all
had
the
s-
iconic maps in there and all the cool stuff from all those games.
And
Or-
they had zombies, like
Yeah.
zombies maps, and
Yeah.
there were actually zombies that you could
I
fight
know.
and get rewards from. It was so cool.
That is cool.
And the other thing too is a lot of battle royales don't do this, and it's one of the reasons why I think Apex is still like king when it comes to like battle royales. Is I absolutely love when you have weapons and you have attachments, and half of the loot game is just like grabbing attachments
Well,
for your guns, because
Apex is
it
also
gives
so
you-
because it's a good game.
well, yeah, well, that's one of the
It's
reasons.
the only
but-
good battle royale.
but because like if you play something like Warzone, or if you play something like Fortnite, you're just running around and picking up weapons, and there's so
Yeah.
much more to do in between firefights when you're trying to customize your kit and make something more like
Because it
specialized to
provides
you.
a real tangible sense of progression throughout the whole match. Where in Warzone, it's like, oh, my gun is now blue. Like, who gives a shit? It still
Yeah.
feels like it's literally like half a bullet of extra damage. Like, it literally doesn't matter. But
And given how
yeah,
co-
but in
and
Apex,
given,
a barrel stabilizer makes a huge difference. Like a sight makes a huge difference because the iron sights suck and like all that stuff.
and it's especially disappointing because the customization in like just regular multiplayer for Modern Warfare is the best in the entire
awesome,
series.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
there are God knows how many sights for assault rifles. It's ridiculous. Like there's so much customization you can do. You can take one gun and you can turn it into basically like almost a sniper rifle, or using the same gun, you can put on different attachments to basically make it like a super up close SMG, and just a huge variety of like ways you can customize your loadout. And the fact that that doesn't carry over to Warzone at all is super disappointing. And
I mean, it
that was
kind
a
of does with the
miss.
loadout drops, but
Yeah,
that's
It's not the
also
same,
still,
though.
it's still kind of lame. Yeah, it's still kind of lame because
it's not the same.
you just go up to the box and you pick it up and you're like, oh, now I have my multiplayer loadout. It's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to try Warzone at some point.
It's
But
okay.
we are running on an impressive time here. Exactly an hour, 1 minute, and 30 seconds
Oh, damn.
of the live timer. Well, now it's an hour, 1 minute, and 30 seconds of the recording timer as well. Okay,
Nice.
so I think that means we can end up in the final portion of the show, in which we do another weird not game called Shoutouts, which if you've done literally watch a podcast, they do the same thing. It's the same thing. All the podcasts are the same.
We've been over this.
We've been over this.
If you don't have your game at the beginning, what is it? It's not a podcast.
You gotta have a game to begin with. You gotta have a game to end with. Some podcasts have a game in the middle. We're not long enough for that.
And we're not cool enough for that.
We're not
either,
hitting
I don't-
2 hours. 1 hour, game at the beginning, game in the middle, game at the end. Not game in the middle. We talk about games in the middle, but we don't play a game.
Anyway, here's the game.
All right. So shout
Here's
outs
the game.
this time. I'm gonna start out this time because I have a
Oh.
good shout out.
Nice.
Shout out to there's a pretty well known song person named Dodie, who I'm
I
not
don't
a
know.
huge fan of. She's pretty popular. She has one song called "In the Middle," and it just got me thinking about it because I was just talking about there being a game in the middle of the show, and that song's called "In the Middle," and apparently it's about threesomes,
No, nice.
which is weird because I think the rest of her stuff is like aimed towards children and very.
I've never done
approachable.
one of those.
That's a
I
great
wouldn't know.
title. That's a great title for a song about it.
It is.
Yeah, that's my shout out. There's no reason.
I'll go next. Because I've been playing World War II, because it was free on PlayStation. Just wanted to make that clear.
Mhm.
Shout out to the train sequence. The end. There's like a level where you have to chase a train, and the ensuing train wreck is the most hilariously over the top stupid thing I've ever seen. It is incredible, and you should go watch it. Just purely out of context, it's great.
I don't skip. Let's go.
How the game works.
Shout out to train sequences and games in general. Oh my god, that's what made me really fall in love with Uncharted.
Mm.
Nice.
Good pick. Good pick.
Shout out to Escape from Tarkov because I've spent so much time playing that video game in my whole life, and it's not healthy.
Whoa.
There was a wipe though a few days ago, so now there's more to do. It's just all the same things, just again, and I keep doing it.
Dude, that's a gameplay loop that works. Path of Exile does the same thing.
Yeah,
Same stuff again. Let's go. All right, that's
I
it.
gotta play some Poe.
Remasters do the same thing. It's all the same thing. Games are literally just the same thing over and over again. Shooters are about point and click. They're a point and click adventure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, don't. Oh.
All right. And on that comment, we
And on that
say goodbye.
triggering
I gotta go
note,
take a shower.
We're ending the
You know.
stream. We're ending the recording. Have a good day, evening, night, morning. I don't know when you're watching this. Could be 2030. I don't know. Tell me in the comments. Goodbye.